Thank you for joining us. You're listening to Talking Guns with Joe. I am Joe, and tonight I am joined by JC.
Hey, Joe.
What's going on, JC?
Oh, not much.
Did you have a good week?
I did. Better.
Better week?
Better
Excellent.
week.
The end of the week didn't turn out too well.
No.
We're another tragedy.
Very sad.
We'll get with that in a second. We're going to talk about a few cool things tonight. Some free classes going on again. The Manly Man Expo.
That's exciting.
That's right up my alley.
Are you a manly man?
That doesn't sound right. But we'll reword that in a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
What to do to fight back? Some good questions we've been getting lately. And let's just jump right into this.
Awesome. Let's go.
Let's start off first off before we get into the tragedy in Texas. What just happened in Sarasota recently? They've been having a lot of shootings.
Yeah.
And the Sarasota police, we love our police officers. They finally got the guy, the main suspect, and he's been charged. You got that with you there?
I do not. That's you, I think.
That's me?
Yep, that's you.
So listen, Joshua Bain, he's 32 years old, has been charged. I think he's got six charges, felony charges.
Prior felony charges, yes.
No. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh.
They've had a couple shootings out there in Sarasota recently, and the police just solved two of them, they think. According to police, Joshua Bain, he's 32 years of age, is going to be charged with 2 counts of attempted murder in his role in 2 of the alleged shootings that took place between May 8th and May 13th. And good thing all the victims are reported that they're going to probably survive.
Well, that's fabulous.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Here's the kicker with this guy. Everybody keeps yelling about gun rights and taking guns away and doing all that stuff. And right away, I'm not going to mention people's names, are yelling, this is gun violence. We got to stop the gun violence in this area. Well, it's just violence.
Yes, absolutely.
It has nothing to do with guns because they're going to do it with the gun or without the gun. Let's talk about Joshua's history real quick.
What is his history, Joe? Why don't you share?
Does everybody remember back in 2012, there were 2 British tourists that were killed?
Yes, on Main Street.
In Sarasota? Was it Main Street or was it down in Newtown?
I thought it was, they started off at Smokin' Joe's.
Yes. And what they were doing was probably not.
And then I think they went to go purchase.
Yes. Doesn't matter. You don't deserve to be killed
Correct.
Or something like that.
Absolutely not.
Well, guess what? Our boy, Mr. Bain here.
Was he one of them?
He was involved in it.
Oh, interesting.
He served 15 months.
That's it?
Yes. Because he provided testimony. He was a rat.
Oh,
remember,
so
we come from snitches get
that.
stitches.
Mm-hmm.
But he ratted out his buddy, which is serving all the time for this.
But he was just as guilty.
Don't know the exact details. The article didn't say. I'm not digging it all up. But that one right there was like, man, this is part of the problem with our system. To make the state's attorney's job easier, they cut a plea deal with this guy so he can just rat out
his buddy,
and he can get out of jail quicker.
And then commit more crime.
We can't even go there yet. So for giving his testimony, he only received a 15-month prison sentence for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill for his testimony.
Okay.
That means, to me, he had a little bit more to do with it than
he's saying.
Or
than they're saying.
But then you keep reading this article. Most people wouldn't read it, but it was a great article by the Herald Tribune. Bain, who is still being interviewed by detectives at the time of this article, has been convicted of 6 previous felonies with 50 prior felony and misdemeanor charges.
50?
50. 5-0.
Oh, Lord.
Convicted of 6, so that's 56.
Why is he even on the streets?
Exactly. So all these politicians want to jump up and start talking that they have to do something and
it's not gun violence.
It's not guns.
It's felonies.
Let's do something with our legal system right now. You can say, I know you're holding back. Remember that list of words we can't talk about.
I know. That's what all these words just came to my mind.
Yeah, that's our problem. The cops did their job. Their hands are tied.
Well, then it's our court system.
They do their investigation. They lock the person up. They hand it off to the state's attorney's office. Now it's in their hands. And what do? To make their job easier, they just plea everything out.
Deal, deal, deal.
And the judges, they just don't care.
Well,
all they care about is getting reelected to get on the...
Well, we do know that it's all about politics. But at the same time, then, would these other offenses have happened if this guy was put in jail like he was supposed to?
He'd be in jail.
Right. These other people wouldn't be shot.
And but no, it's gun violence. It's the guns problem.
It's people violence.
To me, this is a state's problem now. The state's attorney should be getting kicked in the butt right now for this.
Well,
50?
And that's the thing. Why is this not so much out in the public's eyes about?
Oh, it's not going to be out.
It's going to be buried.
So I have no. What would your final words be on this?
Crazy, stupid.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
Let's think about this next time it's election time, and
that's it, people. Really, we have a right to take some action and do something about it. And that is when it's time to vote. Look at what these politicians have done. See if it's the best that's for us.
Stop blaming the inanimate object that can't do nothing.
It's always a tool.
Yeah. It's the tool behind the gun.
It is the tool behind the gun.
It's just blame the person. Blame the right person. You can't blame an inanimate object.
No, you cannot.
Does a car just go out and get in accidents and kill people? Does a car get drunk all by itself and go out and do something? No.
No.
It's the driver. You get caught drinking and driving, what happens?
It's called responsibility.
And they
take responsibility for your actions.
Maybe we ought to pay our state's attorneys a little bit better.
Well,
I mean, they're probably the lowest paid.
Oh, I bet they are. Yeah.
And we had this conversation in the shop the other day. I mean, they're making peanuts. All that money they got to spend to go to law school, all that stuff. Then they're going to be a state's attorney.
Right.
Which to me, hey, you're on the right side at that point in time. Good for them. But they're going to get paid that much money.
And on the flip side of that, look how much money the defense attorneys get.
Oh, yeah. $300 an hour.
Yeah. And the state is the one that's trying.
State's attorney, they'd only work 2-3 hours a week to get all that.
Yep.
That would be their pay.
It's crazy.
It's
something's wrong with our system.
Yeah, something's, like I've said in the past a lot, it's not a perfect system.
No.
But it's the best system out there.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a lot of other places in the world, it's a lot worse.
Well, that's true. Absolutely true.
Speaking of that.
Oh, where are we going?
The royal wedding.
You mean the American princess and...
Oh, I don't want to hear about the American princess. I don't want to hear about it at all. Folks, before the show even aired, we were arguing about this.
We were.
It was a yelling match here.
Well, it's sort of.
So, I was
yelling. Right. He was wrong.
Typical. Listen, yesterday morning, I got up early, turned on the news so I can see...
What's happening in the world.
See what's happening in the world and the tragedy that happened on Friday.
And what was on every news channel.
The royal wedding. Are you kidding me?
It is historic.
Historic for what? For them, not us.
I know. It's amazing of how many Americans are obsessed. I mean, obsessed with the royal family.
That's because they're still living in their mom's basement. They got nothing better to do.
But the Americans that are obsessed?
Yeah, they're obsessed with.
There's a lot of people.
Nobody should be obsessed with this. Nobody should be even caring about this since 1776.
Why?
That's when we separated from them.
I understand.
We got rid of them.
But I think, you know what it is? I think we don't have that family, that royal family here, or that royalness or here, or a family
Trump.
That's like that. Well, it should be, and it should always be our president. Absolutely. Yes. But nobody looks at them like they do the royal family.
The problem is we care more about what's going on in the sports world, what's going on in a royal wedding, or what's going on in reality TV. I don't even know what shows are on there now.
But I saw a good comment this morning on Facebook about the wedding, and it said that Meghan Markle married an unemployed man who lives with his grandma. That's pretty funny.
Well, now I think
that was on SNL last night.
Now I can see how it relates with the new generation out there.
Yeah.
So okay.
That's funny.
But the whole thing, the main reason I turned on the TV as soon as I got up to watch this was the tragedy that happened out in Texas on Friday. Long story short, Friday I was teaching the class at Aegis Tactical, and then I can just
plug.
Of course, I keep my phone on silent.
Yes.
And my phone's going off like crazy, vibrating. Right. I know what was going on. I'm not going to stop teaching the class to look at it. We take a 5-minute break, and that's when we found out there was another school shooting.
Very sad.
Happened out in Texas. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims, their families, everybody involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
This should never happen no matter what.
Again, it's a people problem. It is not a gun problem.
But that's a kicker. How much of this have you seen on the news lately?
For this one,
yes.
Not as much as Parkland.
No, not even close. Are we getting desensitized to it?
My thought, and I might be wrong, because he didn't use an AR.
What?
My thought is that's why he used a shotgun and a revolver.
No.
So because it wasn't an AR, they don't sensationalize it as much.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I mean, it also was in Texas. It's an extreme right-leaning state.
Very, very Republican.
Yes. There's a lot of things. We can all sit there with all of our theories on this. But we might be right. We might be wrong. Comes down to there was a tragedy.
Absolute
A mentally
senseless
disturbed
tragedy.
Howard walked into a school and did this heinous act.
Opened fire in his art class. Now, it's turned out today that I was reading that he has been making advances toward a young woman there for months now. And she finally stood up to him.
Were they
No, I think he was
aggressive advances? Or
I don't
was he
know.
just asking the girl
No,
out
I think they were aggressive advances, but it got to the point where she finally stood up to him. But when she stood up to him, she embarrassed him. And that was about a week ago. So again, mental instability. He got rejected and he even said, I don't want to hurt anybody I know because I want my story to be told.
That was afterwards because he's in custody now.
Right. But he did. I think that this one young woman was the first woman he shot in art class on Friday. But it was, rejection. These young kids are not understanding or handling
the whole
rejection.
facts. I mean, the law enforcement has not completed not even close to completed their investigation.
Oh, not
yet.
even close.
And we're reading very limited.
Right. So we can't jump to conclusions until we know everything.
Yes. I'll go over, and we can both go over some of the things that are going on out there with this when we return. We'll be back in a second. And we're back. You're listening to Talking Guns with Joe. I am joined here with JC.
Hi, everyone.
We were just talking about the tragedy that happened out in Texas this past Friday.
Senseless
act of cowardice.
Oh, you can't say all those other words if you want to.
Again, there's no real media coverage on this thing. Even last night when I got home, I turned on the news. Let me see what else is going on. And I caught the tail end of something they were talking about.
Right.
I mean, the tail, like the last 5 seconds of it. And then went on for another hour or so and nothing was mentioned.
And maybe they're not putting it out there until they have all the facts, which might be a good thing this time.
I agree with that.
Let's not jump to conclusions and let's make sure we have an investigation and we know what we're doing first before we put everything out there. But as we said earlier, what I only did hear was that he had, spurned advances, provoked him, and he was rejected.
It could be a lot of things. I mean, I taught a class yesterday, we'll talk about in a little bit, to a bunch of kids.
Yep.
I mean, young adults, I should say. Well, they were anywhere from 5 years old to 16.
Yes.
It was one heck of a range.
It was a great class at Aegis Tactical yesterday.
One of the questions I asked them is about bullying that goes on in the schools and picking on other kids. We talk about you can't pick on somebody just because, they don't have the newest shoes or the best sneakers and all that. You don't know what's going on. They might have a single parent at home that's working 3 jobs and still having a hard time making ends meet. Well, and that's why they're wearing hand-me-downs, wearing the less expensive stuff.
I've had a conversation of this with our son, who is, 15 years old, Sarasota High. And I've talked with him and his friends and just said, normally, if you go back to even Columbine, these were kids that have been shunned, that they're mocked out.
Yes, the loners.
That they're the loners. So I said to him, if all of you kids want to make a difference, be kind to someone. Yeah. Talk to someone. Say hello to someone. If you see somebody sitting by themselves, invite them to your lunch table. Yeah. Because that could have been you.
If you see people picking on them, stand up for them.
Absolutely.
Or at least don't pick on them.
And don't encourage it.
Don't encourage it. Don't add fuel to the fire.
Right.
Long story short. Even right now, if you go on to Facebook and you look at what's trending, it's nothing to do with this. Well, one thing is to do with this, and Jason will explain that because
Joe knows nothing about sports, folks.
Not a thing. So
J.J. Watts, as you all know, Texas football player.
Did you just say y'all?
Y'all. Oh, my God. I went to Texas. Y'all. J.J. Watts, if you all remember him, during Hurricane Irma, not Irma, what was the one that hit Harvey, that hit Texas? Hurricane Harvey. he ended up getting a lot of money for everybody, donations in, and help all the people from the hurricane. Well, he stepped up again. So J.J. Watts has said that he will pay for the funerals of the 10 victims from Friday's shooting. So kudos to him. Hats off to him.
Yeah, definitely. That's
someone
awesome.
that's going to do something, someone that's from the area, someone that's stepping up. So funny enough, when you were talking about the trending, that was one, the 8th thing down was only about J.J. Watts going to pay for that. Nothing else about the shooting at all.
Nothing.
So
it's kind. I think, like you said, it kind of it goes against their agenda with the
state
quotation, the assault weapons.
Yep.
Military style weapons. It
didn't fall into that.
Automatic, fully semi-automatic rifles.
It didn't fall into that category, so there's not going to be a lot of hype about it because they can't say let's ban ARs again because he did not use ARs.
Yes. He used a shotgun. He used a .38 special revolver.
Correct.
That he obtained from his father. Well, we don't know how he obtained them yet.
We don't know that.
If they were stolen.
Easily accessible.
Yes. One thing I got to encourage anybody out there, any parent out there that has firearms in their house, if it's not under your control, that means on your person, in your immediate vicinity, within arm's reach, that gun should be secured, and no unauthorized persons should have access to it. Hands down. That's it.
Well, that's about being...
If you have kids, they should not have combinations to your safe to get into it.
It's gun responsibility.
Yes. It's the third safety rule in basic firearms. You'll learn that. You should have learned it. If you don't need it, you need to learn it. Or you don't know it, you need to learn it.
You can't make this easily accessible for children that are unstable or they're going through rejection.
It's not even unstable. How many times when we were kids did you get in a fight and maybe say things that you didn't mean?
All the time. I still do.
Yes, we all do it. You get upset. These kids are taking it to another level. I believe they are getting a little desensitized with the possible video games out there. Mm-hmm. They think, it's life. You can shoot people 100 times. Just hit the restart button or whatever they hit.
And they're back
to going to normal. They don't realize that this is real.
Right.
There's no takebacks. There's no resetting it, no restarting it, whatever you want to call it. I don't think they get that. Another thing we talked about last night is if stuff like this happened when we were kids.
Oh, I can't say what would have happened to us.
Well, besides that, we wouldn't know about it.
Well, no, because there wasn't social media.
Yeah, it would take days, really, to know about it.
Correct. It's the same thing with anything that's happening in the world.
We didn't have really the 24-hour news networks.
Right. You don't have Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook.
Yes. And it was the 11 o'clock news is what you really had.
That's all you had to know it was going on.
Because we went to school. In school, you played sports.
Yep.
You did some kind of outdoor activities. You weren't sitting inside.
Well, you were outside until your parents whistled or the street lights came on.
I was outside till the street lights came on.
My dad would whistle.
Yeah. Well, my dad would whistle too, but the street lights, I knew to come home. A couple times I stretched it. But so we weren't watching the 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock news.
Correct.
Because that was family sit down and eat dinner time as well. And there was no TV. Times have changed.
Yes.
Now everybody knows instantly as things are happening. You start getting notifications on your phone as things are happening. We're sitting here today doing the show. My watch has gone off 3 times with news updates.
Yes. About the wedding. No.
It better not be about the wedding. I haven't looked.
No. But you're right. It's just like you said, times have changed. We're getting news quicker than we've ever have.
Yes.
And
it's instant. Everybody wants instant gratification. Everything right now. I don't know. It's a tragedy. That's all I got to say about it, really.
It's senseless, and our hearts and our prayers and thoughts go out to the friends and families and colleagues of everyone at the school. This is a time where people should be celebrating graduations and moving on, and we just can't continue to keep having these shootings.
No, it's ridiculous.
But we need to find out and get to the root of it.
The shooting, it's just violence like this in general. I mean, if you have kids, talk to your kids about this. Talk to them about not bullying people, and if they see somebody being bullied.
Well, and it goes back to it's a people issue.
Yeah.
It's not a gun issue.
No, it's not an inanimate object.
We need to have discussions about that.
Yeah. This kid and apparently he was making
aggressive advances.
Explosive devices.
Yes, they found quite a few of them at his house. But
one of them, the pressure cooker with the nails and everything and the clock and everything, didn't have nothing in it. It was...
he wasn't, thankfully, he didn't know.
But then when I first heard about it, there was 2 people.
Well, they said there was another person of interest.
Today, there's just one.
Yeah, I don't know
him.
what happened with the other person.
Why it's hard to come up with anything on this one.
But could go back to one thing about it. The governor said there were no red flags.
I kind of disagree with that.
And go ahead, Joe. I mean, here we go.
And there was a contradicting article this morning from the same news outlet, CNN. Don't hate me for what? It's the only one that popped up when I was looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, when you read all the original articles, he came into school wearing a trench coat. I don't care what kind of pins or everything else was underneath of it. That's not part of the problem. He was wearing a trench coat. It's 90-some degrees outside. Who wears a trench coat?
Well,
does everybody remember that movie? Beverly Hills Cop?
Yes.
Eddie Murphy. Pretty funny movie.
Funny.
Remember when he was in the bar?
Yes.
And he said something's about to happen. Well, how do you know the bar was about to get robbed? It's July and people walked in wearing
a trench coat.
Trench coats. It should stand out. That's situational awareness.
Absolutely.
To me, that's why the schools stop holding the cops' hands behind their back. Stop holding the schools' hands behind their back. Let them put people that they should have in place to stop these things.
Right.
A metal detector at the front door, a security guard with a law enforcement officer, whatever, at the front door, at all the entry points.
Yeah.
May have stopped this happening at that time. Could he have done it at another time? Sure.
I mean, if you put things in place that could prevent it, isn't it worth it?
I think so. Do anything. Do something. Don't just sit there and do nothing. Be part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem. If being part of the solution might be just putting the metal detector to deter people from bringing stuff in, that's going to work in my eyes.
That's right.
Having police officers in the school.
Presence.
They got to be in the school. They got to be doing something, not sitting in an office or hanging out talking in the cafeteria all day long.
No. Walking around.
Being active with the students.
Active. Proactive.
You know, getting your... Guys, I'm retired. Get your CI. Get somebody that's going to talk to you and tell you what's going on.
You see something, say something.
Yes.
They're afraid to say something because they're touted as bullies or racists.
I talked in the class yesterday with the kids. I said, if you're afraid to talk to a teacher or a principal or anybody at the school resource officer about what's going on because you're afraid that they're going to call you out or make you confront the person, you're afraid to say, hey, if I'm going to turn somebody in as being a bully, I don't want that person to bully me.
Right.
So you want to do it kind of anonymously.
Correct.
So if you feel that you can't do that, tell your parents.
And let them go
Let your parents
ahead.
do that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be involved in that at that point in time.
Because you don't want retaliation, and that's what they're afraid of.
That's the word I was looking for.
It's retaliation.
It's Sunday. Is it the end of the week or the beginning of the week? I keep getting confused. With
it depends if you're...
It used to be the beginning of the week. Now things are changing, and I think it's the end of the week.
No, if you're positive, it's the beginning of the week. If you're negative, it's the end of the week.
But we work 7 days a week, so there's no...
So there is no beginning or end.
And it
just keeps going,
It's like that movie Groundhog Day.
Over and over and over.
I love that movie Groundhog Day, by the way.
Of course you do.
So listen, talking about security in school and all that, Manatee County has just announced something. We're going to talk about something with the school resource officers and possibly now security guards.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on this yet, but let's get into that on the next. Let's get into that one next. 'Cause I'm not even sure where I stand. I'm a little mixed on this one.
I'm extremely concerned with this one. I think they're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I just think there needs to be some good regulation on this, and somebody needs to step up and be a part of this.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So let's talk about that next. There's a couple other things that we need to talk about too. And
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our friends over at Costco. Are they right? Are they wrong? And then I was giving a speech the other day, or a talk, and I got a really good question from somebody that stumped me. And it's the easiest.
You were speechless?
I was. It took me a minute to think about it, and it was the easiest question in the world.
You're never speechless.
And we will go over that as soon as we come back. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Talking Guns with Joe. You're here with Joe and JC again, and we were just talking about the new policy for security in Manatee County in the school system. And this is elementary schools?
Well, I believe it's elementary schools.
It's not the high schools, and don't know about the middle schools. Right.
It says the school district of Manatee County they're going to hire
security guards.
Yeah.
to start.
Not active law enforcement officers. They're going to hire security guards.
I'm not 100% against this.
Well, I'm not against it. I'm confused. I guess it is. I don't know how well trained they're going to be. That's my biggest thing. They're going to hire.
Let's break it down with the security guard thing first. Because first off, you said security, they're not law enforcement.
Yes, they are not law enforcement. They are guardians. They're hiring 40
what
guardians.
What company is it anyway?
I don't know. I think it's through Whack and Hut or something along those lines.
GS4, whatever they're called now. It's Whack and Hut. So they got
but they have no
the lowest paid ones out there.
Right.
So you're not going to get the best of the best, in my opinion. But break down where we come from originally. We're from New Jersey, if you can't hear that already originally. And if you don't know the dynamics that are going on here, you really need to stop in the Aegis Tactical and talk to us someday, because it's...
First of all, we were from Jersey. We came here about, 16 years ago?
16 years ago.
We used to be married.
Keyword used to be.
That means former.
Former spouses.
We own a gun shop, Aegis Tactical together.
Yes.
We co-parent a 15year-old who thinks he knows everything.
Doesn't he?
Well, he's sort of like you. The apple didn't fall far.
15.
The apple did not fall far, folks. But it works, and it works for us.
Yes.
And that's all that matters.
Remember, you plant corn, you get corn.
Yep.
So listen, even where we came from up in New Jersey, they had situations like this in some of the high schools out there where they had security guards. They were not armed up there. Jersey had totally different laws.
Right.
But this was 16 years ago.
Right.
I mean, before that, they had security guards working in the schools. I mean, I remember going to junior high, and we had security guards.
Right. So it was prevalent then.
Yes.
And present.
Yes. And now some of the bigger city schools that were up there, and in a lot of other states as well, they do have security guards at the doors, every entry point. Mm-hmm. But they also have law enforcement officers.
Correct.
It's kind of like when you go to the airport.
Right.
You have TSA, they're unarmed, they're searching.
And then there's also...
Then there's law enforcement there, too, when they find something.
And I get that they're going to have these guardians, but these guardians have no authority to make arrests or act in any other law enforcement capacity.
Well, they're security, observe and protect.
Correct, but but if something happens, they have to call.
They should be able to act. If they are carrying a firearm, they should be able to act on the situation. If their hands are going to be tied again, like we talked about earlier, there's no sense of having them.
Right. My concern is, I go back to Parkland. So my concern is, will they react? Will they engage? Will they and hide? And then it's not worth them being there. But I get it. I know it's a money thing, and that's why.
Well, it's like anything in life. You get what you pay for.
Right. Well, absolutely.
And if you're paying a security guard, $9 an hour to sit at the schools to protect our kids, you're going to get $9 an hour worth of a security guard.
They're more concerned. What I'm worried about is they're going to be more concerned about just, getting through the day and getting their pension. And
well, security, they're probably not getting a pension through their Whack and Hut.
or just getting through the day. I'm just worried about the experience. Now, they did say that all the guardians are required by law to complete 132 hours of firearm safety and proficiency training, right, along with 12 hours of certified diversity training, and they must pass a psychological evaluation and a drug test.
Ooh.
But here's my question. Who's doing the training? Is it trained by Manatee County Sheriff's Police? Who's doing the training?
I have extensive experience in firearms training, especially with law enforcement, security, right, military, all that stuff. This is, it's one thing to train somebody to sit in a single lane stall at the indoor range and shoot at a stationary paper target. Right. So that's why I'd rather have real life experience people out there. Your police. Some of them might be. They might be. Maybe the security company's hiring retired police officers. Well, that's true. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. We don't know all the facts. But I would want. Listen, if you're from Manatee County and you have a child in the school system, this should be a concern of yours. Yes. You should be addressing this. You should be talking to them. You should be talking to the school board, all your politicians out there to figure out what they're going to do with this. Follow this. We're going to try to follow this for you. We'll post everything that we can find on our Facebook page and everything else, our Twitter account. Of course, that's it. Talking Guns with Joe. There's a little plug. We'll put it up there, but this is something you should follow because, if Sarasota school system starts doing this, Sarasota High School, of course I'm going to follow it. We have a kid that goes there.
Right.
I'm going to find out. I know they have, as far as I know, there's just one school resource officer in Sarasota High School.
I believe so.
It's a large high school.
Very. Well, and that goes back to Sarasota. They're all talking. They had a big meeting this week about blocking off School Avenue because you can access the school, not by vehicle, but you can walk right onto the campus on School Avenue.
But you can walk onto the campus from any point.
Well, that's where it's really open and anybody can walk through because it's a road that goes straight to
I think
residential.
they're missing part of the point. I can understand closing down School Avenue and all that stuff. I can understand closing down the road. For me, it would just be traffic of normal cars coming up and down the road and stopping that. But the last, how many school incidents have we had this year?
A lot, like a few.
That's another thing we didn't touch base on. How many got stopped in the past couple of weeks?
A lot.
From law enforcement officers?
Yeah.
And it's not on the news anywhere?
Well, because they can't sensationalize
Where they stopped the coward from coming in there with the firearm?
Was that in Illinois?
There's Illinois.
There's Maryland.
Maryland did that. That was on the news for a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's stuff going on out there.
Right, you're right. There's things that are happening that we're not hearing about because it's not newsworthy.
So where I'm getting at with that is, I may have jumped off topic real quick, but yes, close off School Avenue, do all that stuff. That's fine and dandy. Who's committing these acts in the school? Students.
So they're going to get on campus anyway.
Yes. So I think
goes back to having resource officers, police officers.
First, we got to untie their hands.
Yes.
Do you know the school resource officer can't just search a student going into the school? They have to have probable cause. They got to call the principal.
Well, that sounds silly because by the time they do all that...
Well, they have rights. I think you have rights as a student. You're still an American.
Yes.
In my opinion.
But if you're in school, to be in school, you got to follow school rules.
But how do we get probable cause to search somebody?
Well, they have to do something.
So if you put metal detectors at all the entry points of the school...
Which is a great idea.
And you had security guards manning them that don't make as much money. It's not going to cost as much as the law enforcement officer. But you had law enforcement officers there available. And they were searching everybody coming into the school. So they had to search the backpacks. They had to walk through the metal detectors. Guess what? Then you'd be able to go into the bags. Well, just like if you're going on the airplane. Just if you're going to watch the Lightning game. You're going to watch a Bucks game. You're going to watch the Rays play. You're getting searched.
Yeah.
Again, how come they don't do this at the schools? I know this is upsetting a lot of people out there right now.
They're saying it's violating their rights.
You're in school. You have no rights at that point. And I don't get it. I don't understand why people are fighting this. They're fighting the metal detectors. They fought the clear backpacks.
Well, and that's still, I think, on the table for a lot of schools, Manatee and Sarasota.
I'm not saying the clear backpacks is going to solve everything. That's going to be the end all to be all the answer to stop all this. No, maybe it's a start.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe if with this kid in Texas, if he had the shotgun and revolver in his trench coat and he walked into the school and he walked through a metal detector and it went off, you think it may have
prevented it?
Yeah, because you know what? He wouldn't have walked in because the Friday before he walked into school with a trench coat on.
Correct.
Why would he do something like that?
He was testing it.
Yeah, to test it, to see people's reaction.
That's right.
Nobody reacted. Apparently in Manatee County, you can't wear trench coats to school.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
One of the...
I know they were talking about hoodies again at some schools. Go back to that, the Sarasota middle school where that teacher has been let go or on leave or something. I gotta follow up on that. That's still a little crazy. But again, so they're trying to prevent... and not profile, but prevent. If you have a hoodie on, they can't see your face. They can't see what you're doing. If you have a trench coat on, you can't see what you're wearing.
We do the same thing here at the shop. You come into our gun shop. I mean, we have 4 windows right out the front, including doors, so they're all glass.
Right.
We watch people as they're coming in.
Right.
We see people wearing, we had somebody the other day came in, it was hot outside, and they were wearing a hoodie, sweatshirt.
Yeah.
With the hood pulled up.
And what did that make every one of us do? Make sure we had our firearm on us and we were being more aware.
It got us ready. We were very attentive to this person.
But again, it's about knowing your surroundings and watching.
Situational awareness.
Yes, which, hey, you know what? Aegis has a great class coming up on July 1st, situational awareness workshop that everybody should come in about because we talk about these things.
Yes.
So
things to identify. I mean, at that point in time, did we lock the doors and do all that? No, we couldn't. We don't know what the problem was. Were we ready to respond or react to a situation? Yeah. If the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, it's for a reason. That's called adrenaline.
That's right. And you got to listen to that. You got to listen
Yes.
to that inner voice.
That's one of the things we go over in that course, but we don't have time for that today. But
it goes back to, okay, so Manatee's going to hire. I just want to make sure that they're trained well. That's my biggest thing. Just make sure they're trained well. Make sure they can react and engage.
Yes, they are mentally and physically able to act and engage.
Right. So, I mean, and
we also need people that are friendly and
social
to the students, to the students.
Because you still want to keep that communication, those lines of communication open, and have them be approachable.
Yeah, because some of these, we see them out there and we hear all the stories where the student walks up to the law enforcement officer, tries to give them a high five, and the law enforcement officer resource doesn't want to do it because he's trying to sit there and be Johnny Badbutt, standing with his arms crossed, wearing his sunglasses inside the building.
Right.
You know what?
Well,
you get more bees with honey.
Yes. Do you know that?
I know that.
Okay. But it's true. I mean, and you have to be approachable. You have to be able to be where they can come and trust you and tell you things if they want to.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you're going to start finding out all the information because they know they can trust you. They can go up there and tell you something, and you're not going to dime them out and put them on the spot and embarrass them in front of the whole school.
Right. And that's what the biggest thing is with the kids today.
Yes.
They're afraid of retaliation.
Yes. And again, we had a room full of young adults in here yesterday. Let's finish that up. We'll be back in just a couple seconds, and we'll finish up this discussion, and we'll find out that question. Hey, we're back. This is Talking Guns with Joe. I'm here with JC today, and thanks for hanging with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Again, we were just talking about the new security guards that are going to be in place over at Manatee Schools. I think we just need to wait and find out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to know anything until it really starts going into fruition and see what people think and get some feedback. Also, I think Polk County, it was Polk County that this week, they're banning all backpacks this week.
Isn't that Grady Judge territory?
Yeah.
He should run for president.
He really should. I love him. He's awesome.
He's the king of the one-liners.
And but he is he said, I'd rather overreact than underreact and overdo than underdo.
I don't even know why we have all these backpacks now anyway, because honestly, it would probably be cheaper to buy the student an iPad. And all the books can be on the iPad. Well, they walk around with just an iPad.
And that would be great because I do know that even our kid, he never goes to his locker because it's nowhere near his classes.
Yeah, campus is large.
Because the campus is large. But so they are saying this week Polk County is doing no backpacks at all this week. I know it's the last week anyway, but they are going to talk about no backpacks at all.
I can't tell you when the last time I bought a book, regular book from a bookstore or something. Like everything's electronic. They
don't have books because everything is online in school and on the board, the active board. So they don't really have books, but they have their notebooks and they have their folders and they have all their papers in it. So that's what we got to come up with an idea for that.
They could do iPads. You can write on the iPads and you can do all that stuff, but that's here or there. I'm not going to sit here and promote.
But it's an idea. Hey, Joe came up with a good idea. Light bulb.
Yeah, it's a very dim light bulb. So, real quick, I want to talk about our friends over at Costco.
Oh, whose friend? No, not my friend.
I used to like Costco.
I used to love Costco, but I'm very put off about what happened recently.
I like the big bulk stores like that.
You like Sam's and BJ's.
You can buy like 300 rolls of toilet paper in one pack. And it's awesome.
And then you got to find a place to store it.
We're just using up more. No, we won't go
Never mind. But talk about Costco. It is very disturbing.
Costco runs a foundation for the Children's Miracle Network.
Yes.
And it's, again, a great foundation. It's a charity, not-for-profit, raising money for children and everything. There was a gun shop, I believe they were out in California, that donated $500 to the organization.
And their check showed their name, and it had a rifle on it as part of their logo.
Yes. So Costco returned the check.
Why would they return it?
Because it was from a gun shop.
It's going to charity.
Yes. Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Okay. Miracle Network, you're going to now tell me they don't need money from anybody? I mean, it's not them. It was Costco.
Here we go again with somebody with their political beliefs. They won't even accept money from a company, a small business. And listen, folks, the gun industry is hurting right now. We're going to talk more about this next week. The gun industry is hurting right now.
Sadly.
And for a small shop, or even if it was a larger shop, to donate $500.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
For a good cause.
Yes. And they turned it down because it was a gun shop. So they started getting some very negative publicity, just like our friends over at Dick's, because apparently their sales have dropped drastically.
As well as they should.
I also want to know if Dick's is going to stop selling shotguns and revolvers now.
Well, if they can't just do this
Don't say it.
they can't just do it halfway.
Halfway. If they're going to stop selling military-style rifles,
Right.
because they're used in shootings, they should stop selling. I think they should just go out of business.
Well, listen, and what's our recourse, Joe?
Excuse me?
What is our recourse?
Oh, how do we fight back? I got this question the other day at an event, and you stop spending money at these places.
That's right,
it's
people.
simple. If it's we've talked about this before. If it's a restaurant that's anti-gun, that's part of this gun grabbing group, or just does not want me to carry a gun into their location, I'm not going to go there.
Because these are the groups that hire these lobbyists.
Like Dick's hired lobbyists. I think they hired 3 lobbyists to get rid of the Second Amendment.
Yes, gun control lobbyists. So they're against your rights. So don't support them. Wait, Joe's got a list, I think.
There's...
on the back, maybe even.
I can go on this for an hour.
Okay, go.
Listen, Dick's is hiring lobbyists in Washington to get rid of the Second Amendment. Go figure. We all know this already. And kudos to Springfield.
Yes.
Mossberg.
Yes.
And MKS Supply, which is known as High Point.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
Listen,
just not a
High
big
Point
fan,
cut you off.
but isn't that awesome?
They severed ties. Springfield, Mossberg, and High Point severed ties with Dick's because of their hiring of these lobbyists.
That's right.
How can any firearms manufacturer, ammunition manufacturer, anything supply Dick's Sporting Goods with anything?
Everybody should be taking everything away.
That business.
Yeah, they should all be on the bandwagon with.
So listen, you want to do something about this? You want to know how to fight back this? Listen, you get in touch with Marlin, Remington, Ruger, Savage, Benelli, Beretta, Stoger, Winchester, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Browning, I think I said Ruger twice, and all the ammo manufacturers, and ask why they're still selling.
Why would they still support and send their product there when they're trying to take away the gun business?
It's crazy.
Why do you support that?
I don't. Not at all.
I know I won't ever go into Dick's.
No, and they're putting that huge one in here in
Sarasota.
Sarasota County.
Sarasota County. It's on that
over
side.
there at UTC Mall.
Yep. And you know what? They'll never get my business, and they shouldn't get your business if you want to protect your rights. It has nothing to do with guns. It's about protecting your rights.
Buy local, support local, because they support you. If I need something that Dick's is the only place that sells it, I'm going to go find it online. Because I'm not even going to walk in the place. So.
I agree. And again, go back to that. Buy local.
Buy local, support local.
Support local.
Yeah, because the local supports you. Like that gun shop in California donating the $500. Aegis Tactical. Again, we have Aegis Tactical. I forget. We're probably well over $10,000 so far for the year. Probably
for the year,
around $12,000 for the year.
And it's not even halfway through the year.
Yes, that's what we do. We're helping out with the Friends of the NRA dinner. It's coming out here in October.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk more about that in the later date. We're constantly doing things to help the community.
You got to give back to your own community. That's, you have to keep it local and you have to support your own local community.
So it's
crazy. Yep. It's crazy.
But back with Costco real quick though, not to cut off. We have a good friend here at the shop and client that actually wrote to the CEO of Costco.
Any response?
He got a response right away. He got a couple of responses.
What were they?
Costco said the whole thing came over a debate over a banner advertisement. That Costco said the gun shop had to change their banner ad, and that's why they returned the check, because the gun shop refused to do it. And I was going to double check all this yesterday, and I just ran out of time.
Because you were watching the wedding.
I was watching the wedding. No, I was teaching classes.
Yes, you were.
We gave, a free class to Sarasota Manatee
school students.
We
give a lot of free classes, actually. We have another one coming up.
It's one of the ways we can give back. And I got to follow up on that to see how true it is.
See about that.
But we've even done stuff here. We've sponsored events at schools and stuff like that, and they've put our banners up, and it's just our logo, and it says firearm sales, gunsmithing, firearms training classes. And there's never been a problem.
No. And we've never had to take tactical off of, Aegis Tactical to do anything with schools. And we've done a lot of them.
Yeah. So let's see what kind of stuff this gun shop put on there. Maybe they had something that was really bad.
I can't imagine, though.
But as far as Costco, we all know they have an anti-gun stance. If that's what it is, that's what it is. It's their business. They can do what they want.
And it is their choice.
Their house,
but it's
their rules.
Our choice to not spend our money there.
Nope. I cut up my card. So,
Well,
I'm
you
done.
know, yeah. I mean, you have to. They have choices. Absolutely, they're allowed to do whatever they want.
Yes.
What else you got, Joe?
I need more time.
Well, we don't have more time. We're running out of time shortly. So, what do you want to talk about?
Listen, one of the questions I got the other day that
Okay.
stumped me is the easiest question in the world, you would think.
What is that?
What's my top 5 favorite guns that I own?
That you have personally?
Yes.
Okay, so what
And
are
it
your
stumped
top
me. I
five?
had to sit there and think about it. I was like,
Which means he has a lot, folks.
I have a couple. I'm going to run down my list real quick.
Go.
And first one, my 6-hour P226, the MK25.
Mm-hmm.
It just fits my hand so well. I just love shooting that gun. You just think about where you want that round to go, and it goes there. Fusion, 1911.
Best
Locally
1911s.
made, best ones in the world. Made right here locally in Venice, Florida.
Yep.
My Sphinx.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Sphinx.
Oh,
This was the gun that they used to protect the Pope.
yes.
The same Pope that wants to get rid of all guns.
Yes. Well, you know.
Glock 19.
Love my Glock 19 too.
It's just so versatile. And my FN 57.
Yep.
Now, here's the kicker. And JC asked me earlier, because she saw my list, how come my Fusion is at number 1 and how come my 5.7 isn't higher on the list?
And why?
Again, we own the gun shop. We own Aegis Tactical. I had my Fusion Freedom Series, my reaction on my hip. Fusion had no more left in stock. I'm standing here in the shop wearing it. The client saw it, and he bought it right off my hip.
Yep. He said, I want it and I want it now.
He didn't care it was mine and it was used. He
So
wanted
are you
that one.
saying we need to get you another one?
I need to get another one.
You hear that, Bob?
I'm thinking about, yes, Bob, listen, I'm thinking possibly a 10 mil
Well,
since I don't have a 10 mil.
that would be nice to have a 10 mil.
So, and it's just the smoothest gun ever.
It is.
My 5.7, I had to sell a couple of years ago.
Yep.
You know, you got to pay the electric bill sometimes.
Sometimes,
And I just haven't.
one thing your dad always said, guns and jewelry.
Yep, you can always sell them. I had to sell it, and I sold it through the shop and made enough to pay the electric bill that month.
That's right.
But I love.
So that's the only reason that they're down a little bit further is
Yes.
because you don't have them.
If I still owned them, I think it would probably be the Fusion would be on top.
Yeah, that reaction is unbelievable.
It's crazy. 3.5 pound trigger. It's
Can't
just
beat
all
it.
metal gun. It's American craftsmanship at its finest.
And it's made local.
Yes. Support local, buy local.
That's right.
What else do we have coming up soon? We have a free class on how to clean your guns.
Yep.
That Aegis Tactical is putting on. That's going to be on June 9th.
Yep.
And it's going to be for handguns and all that. It's a free course. You come in, they teach you how to tear apart your gun, do a field strip, clean it, inspect it, reassemble it, and do a functions check.
And
on
again, folks, free.
Free.
Come in and just get some knowledge.
And we have some really good coffee over there too.
And before we
And it's
go, we got to talk about the Manly Man event.
We have the Manly Man event that's going to be happening that day as well. That's going to be at
That's
Sarasota, Florida. That's at Rossler's Harley Davidson.
Yes, we
That's
will
gonna
be
from
there.
10 a.m. to 3. We might have a special guest there in the morning as well.
And-
besides me, of course,
Well, he's special.
because I got to be somewhere in the afternoon. But I believe we're trying to get Mr. Robert Serva from Fusion Firearms there.
And we will have some fusions there.
And we're going to be unveiling the new Fusion 1911s while we're there.
Shh, don't tell everybody yet.
I think we just did.
Dang it.
But it's going to be, we did this event last year. It was awesome. Doing
It's a
it
lot of
again
fun.
this year. How much better can you get than guns and Harleys?
The only other thing I could think of, it doesn't go good with guns, and that's alcohol.
I have multiple
Oh,
guns. I have multiple Harleys.
Cigars.
Cigars.
There
Will
you
they
go.
have cigars there?
No. Oh,
Listen,
yes.
Listen, everybody, thank you for listening to us tonight. We'll be back next week at the same time, and we got some cool guests coming in next week.
Stay tuned.
So have a great week.